Alright, everybody, welcome in and thank you for tuning in to another dual view of the 8-man tournament that we did. I'm Mythic Fishbomb here with Endormi.
Hey,
We've got a matchup between Karn and PhoenixForge Hex, and Endormi's going to tell us a little bit about the games.
Karn is playing this Karn deck, which is the Ruby World version of it. Basically runs Ghost Trolls and Skarns, mostly spells. It's a really fast deck that can actually kill on turn 3. The downside is that it's a little bit glass cannon as some removal spells can just make the game end, as they usually have to go all in on the Skarn on turn 2 or turn 3 to actually kill you. So if you have a removal spell on that situation, you may trade like 4 for 1 or 5 for 1, and the deck needs a critical mass of cards to work. The interesting thing is the sideboard of Karn, that he actually has 2 core fees to go a little bit higher when he needs to, and a couple of other creatures to make the deck less explosive and more aggro-ish, adding a lot more creatures on it. On the other side, Phoenix playing a mono Ruby control deck. The key cards here, he's going to play are the burns on the heat waves. That can do a lot of work, especially if he's on the play and is able to burn them as soon as the troops hit the board before they can get pumped. If he does not have the removal early enough, he is probably just going to die, as he really has no other interaction with him. He has no way of chump blocking or anything. So now let's just go to the games.
Alright, so looks like Karn's on the play here. So he's deciding to mulligan first here. Not a great hand for him here. Yeah, he's missing a ruby. I think his first hand might have been a little bit better. I don't remember. I kind of missed exactly what it was. I was looking at who's playing first or not. But both players mulligan. Phoenix's hand was awful that first one. This one's just as bad. He's got mulligan again. This hand's at least keepable. He's got the heat waves, which are very important in the matchup. And actually do a good job of answering 2 Skarns that you see in Karn's hand.
Yeah, Karn hand is far from great, but this deck you have to keep risky hands. You cannot mulligan effectively down to 4 or even 5, because as I said before, you need a critical mass of spells to actually end the game. So every mulligan hurts a lot. Despite that, you usually have to mulligan aggressively to have at least 1 threat on your hand, as the deck usually plays only 8 to 10 threats. Only Ghost Trolls, 4 Skarns, and I believe he's playing 2 Unmerciful Tormentors on the main deck.
Yeah, I mean, not having a ruby here is going to probably be a pain for him. And if Phoenix can just get a heat wave at a crucial time, he can probably just take over the game with getting some nice resources out of the surge mechanism there, and just keep 1-for-1ing his opponent until he can get to a point where the Ash Harpy actually kills him.
The main point of playing against the Scar deck is to play really conservatively and try to kill the creatures as fast as possible before they get able to pump it, and potentially you cannot kill them anymore. So if you see a creature in play, you try to burn it as you can, and if they use a pump spell on your turn, it's much better, because that's damage that is not going to your face.
Yeah, every pump spell you make them use is like a little victory for you, because they're not doing the extra 3 damage to your face or the wild growth or whatever. They're instead using it to keep their troop alive through a heat wave or a burn or whatever. So you take what you get against them for the most part. But he's definitely willing to, if he drops a Scar next turn, you know Phoenix is more than willing to throw a heat wave at it, even though it's just a 1-for-1, which you usually want more than that from your heat waves.
Yeah, you want more for the Withers, but as I said, the deck doesn't run many threats, so even trading strippers for 1 is usually good enough.
Yeah, and being greedy with the heat wave can definitely kill you against Skarn decks, because if you wait a single turn, they can just explode on you and one-shot you potentially.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot happening here.
I mean, they both players mulligan, they are stuck on resources, so really
Yeah.
not much to say.
And he's looking for a ruby. Unfortunately, he gets an Oaken Ceremony, which he's going to look for now a Gas Troll, I'm guessing. It's kind of the only thing you really get. That'd be nice.
Gas Troll into 1 ruby is going to be huge. So
Yeah, Gas Troll on 1 ruby is probably just devastating. And he got the Gas Troll.
Yeah.
So What's cool about OK Ceremony is basically just draw target troop because a lot like it's gonna hit mostly one troop. Unfortunately, it does usually shuffle away your other actions, but getting a gas troll or a Scarn out of it is really really nice. And it also, if you get a Scarn and and that's the second action you played that turn, that means you can flip your Scarn immediately, which is really really cool.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you have to play the Ogen Ceremony just due to the low amount of threat you play, and sometimes it's going to whiff because you will play the low amount of creatures. But it's a really good card in the deck, so you have to know that something's going to whiff and don't be angry about it.
Oh, it's gonna whiff quite often. Actually, like, it's not gonna hit a lot of troops, but when it does hit, it's usually really nice for you.
Yeah.
Um, Again, hitting a Scarn as that being like, if you played like Clarity into something and then had an Oaken Ceremony getting a Scarn and it still flips the Scarn, which is really really nice.
So let's see if Phoenix goes for the Heatwave here or decides to go with the search mechanisms. If he doesn't, Heatwave here it can be really really bad for him as most of his removal is damage based.
Yeah. So he makes a smart choice, which is doing it. He could have got again going for the Surge Mech would have been, nice to do, but he couldn't afford to do it. The next turn, if Karn got a Ruby, he'd be just dropping a ton of troops out there. Well, not a ton of troops, but just a ton of damage.
It will have been potentially like 5 damage and 2 Scan in place that will have flipped.
Yeah.
And he potentially have the a way to protect the scans with a Crimson Clarity during his turn for the other hitway.
Still no Ruby for Karn is really really awful because if he had a Ruby, this game would be likely pretty close to ending at this point.
Yep.
Considering the cards he has. The thing that does afford Phoenix the ability to do now is play his Surge Mechanism and start ticking his resources up and getting to the point where he can actually start playing some troops out because he's still stuck on resources.
I mean, that Ruby there actually lets him play the Hex Engine, which means the Ash Harpy can come down next turn and start bashing. And if Karn doesn't get a Ruby basically this turn, it's probably going to be over.
Yeah, Karn has a hard time dealing with X4s, so unless he has a second, if he gets a Ruby and then a Rage Fire, he could probably deal with it. That's about the only way he can deal with it.
Yeah, the problem is that he probably doesn't have enough time as the Hash Harpy kills in 3 attacks. And if he gets a Ruby here and deploys a Skarn and stuff like that, he may not have enough time.
So you can play the Ruby. You can play both Skarns and be able to protect it from a heat wave by using the Crimson Clarity in the Wild Growth to make them both be the 3/3s, and then they flip, which is kind of nice. Can be kind of risky if he has like a burn or something. You can get rid of one of them. But
I'll probably just go with the Crimson Clarity, play both the Scans and Rage Fire, so I have enough resources to play the Wild Growth in their turn to be able to protect both of them.
Yeah, he does have that ability. I miscounted the resources there. That's definitely the right play then.
Yeah. He can also just go with double Crimson Clarity or something like that, but if he was able to keep a Crimson Clarity to protect them from Heatwave, he'll probably do that. But I don't think he can afford that, so he's probably going to have to use the Wild Growth to protect them.
Could just use a double Clarity to flip it and then have Wild Growth to protect it and stay the Rage Fire.
Yep, it's basically if he wants to use the Crimson Clarity or the Rage Fire here.
So he goes to the Crimson Clarity. The Crimson Clarity, the card you don't usually ever see getting played. That's mostly because it's not that great in most decks, but in this deck it actually does a ton of work. You're very resource light, so the acceleration's very important. Also fixing your thresholds for the Rage Fires is really really nice. And as you saw there, it let him now keep open 3 resources, which lets him bluff having multiple growth potentially, or just multiple things he can do now in his opponent's turn. Obviously, the Wild Growth really all he needs to do, but still.
Yeah, the Crimson Guard is what makes decks being able to go super explosive on turn 2 or 3. being able to cast mostly all of your spells in one turn. It also not only fixes the threshold for Rage Fire, but Poca Hero Power, which is basically the only double threshold stuff we have on the deck.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you have Gore Feast, which he has post sideboard, it allows you to do that turn 3, which is pretty much a crucial turn because the turn after that they can extinction you or whatever. So the ability to potentially Gore Feast turn 3 is pretty nice.
So Phoenix, instead of going for the heat wave, decides to play the RP and try to race.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out for him because Karn has just way too much damage in hand. And a resource, yep, there it is. So he summons a resource and makes a charge power, and that's about 20 damage there, isn't it?
Yeah. This also makes him able to flip both this turn. I mean, if Phoenix had played the heat wave, he probably knew one spell is going to come out from his hand. But still, it's probably was worth it, as we said. Making them use their palm spell on their turn is pretty important, as they lose one Karn to transform the Karns.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you could play around him potentially not having a pump spell or a spell, an action in hand, because they almost always do have an action in hand. So you can't really play around like hoping they don't have that. Unless they have no cards in hand, you have to assume it's an action.
Yeah, he actually just dies here for exactly lethal from 20 to 0 in one turn.
Yep.
So that's
something like charge bot would be interesting in this kind of deck. You know, get your charge like if you can get your charge power off turn 3 and then have a good Gore Feast turn 3 with the Crimson Clarity. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, the thing is that charge bot is not a spell. Nor is Ruby does, so that means.
But it could replace things like your other 1-drops that you may play in the deck, such as a Merciful Tormentor.
I still like the Merciful Tormentor over the charge bot. The Merciful Tormentor does pump cast roll, and when and it's a better top deck when after you play everything. At least becomes a 4/4, where charge bot is just a 1/1. You draw it later in the game, and it's not like you're playing four of them anyway.
So what would you be bringing in here if you're Phoenix? Obviously we saw him bring in the Heat Wave. I think we saw him bring in some Ruby Lances, I'm not sure.
Yeah, basically right now he just took out the most expensive stuff. It's going not to matter on the game is not going to go that long. So I'll probably bring the Ruby Lances and probably the Witches too, as the Witches have Swift Strike.
Yeah, it's very relevant.
Yeah, cool. It may not be relevant, but it can also be relevant.
So he's bringing the Scrap Roller, which seems kind of odd to me. I think you definitely want to bring in the Ruby Lances as well as the Witches. Again, the Swift Strike, while not always important, because they do usually have a pump spell, if they don't, you can still, it keeps them from attacking.
Yep.
Which is really all you need to do. If he's the control deck, he needs to keep his opponent from attacking them until he can establish his board position. Also, probably taking out the what's the draw spell there? Cerebral Fulmination. For sure we've taken that out, just because you don't want to give the Skarn deck more cards. They're very resource light, so giving them more cards gives them more chances to draw out of any kind of drought they have, as well as drawing into more actions, which then makes their Skarns more deadly. So what do you think Karn brings in here?
Probably not much. I mean, the Skarn deck is a deck you don't want to sideboard super heavy. I mean, Karn sideboard is more bigger curve, but I don't think that's what he wants to do. So he probably is just going to take out probably the Ruby Auras and bring the Nature's Range instead, or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say Gore Feast and Nature Range are probably a lot to bring in. He knows that his opponent uses the artifacts to ramp, so if he can slow them down even more than they already are, a pretty slow deck to begin with, pretty huge advantage for you. Even just one of them would be fine. Maybe taking out Expressive Fire. He doesn't have a lot of troops to block with, so I'd probably take Expressive Fire and bring in the Nature Range.
The thing about the Ruby Auras too is that they are really good when you are facing troops, but as a pump spell they are really mediocre. But to be fair, the Nature's Range you cannot always cast them, so they may be stuck on your hand, and the Ruby Auras you can always cast them if there's a troop.
something like Baby Yeti may not be awful to bring in either. As you can see, he was kind of thinking about it for a second. Um, it's a speed troop is never bad against the control decks. Especially because if they heat wave you, you can kind of not rebuild per se because it's just a Baby Yeti, but gives you something to do after heat wave to be able to have a hasty troop in there.
Basically, what Baby Yeti allows this deck is to have a card to put all the pound spells in when your other troops died.
Essentially, yeah.
So you just play one and you create a 1/1 body with speed, and you just pump all the rest of your hand into that if your other star dies. It's not fantastic, but it's good enough to end some games if you weren't able to play all the stuff you wanted.
So his hand's kind of iffy. He's got the Gas Troll plus a few Ruby cards, and he has potential for like a turn 3 Gore Feast with a pretty empty hand, which would be a ton of damage with the Unmerciful Tormentor and the Gas Troll. He's just thinking about whether or not he can take the risk of not drawing a Ruby.
Yeah.
Essentially what it comes down to. If he draws a single Ruby, he's fine. If
Yep.
he doesn't, he can be screwed.
Yeah.
So he's going to take a chance on it. I think it's a fine keep. It's a really,
I
really
will
solid
keep
hand.
that hand too. It's really explosive. You just need one Ruby. And as
It could very easily be a turn 3 kill if he draws a Ruby.
also the thing is that again you have to skip sketchy hands with this deck. Mulligan hurts you a lot.
We'll see Phoenix's hand is really nice here though. So the 2 burns, the raise fire. The Druids are kind of mediocre because they're 8 damage to yourself, which probably don't have the ability to afford. And the I keep forgetting the name of it.
Slaughter Gear.
Slaughter Gear, yeah. Slaughter Gear is not really the greatest card in the matchup, but later on in the game you can start turning his Hex Engines and Surge Mechanisms into Warhulks, which is pretty nice. But this hand I think is very good for stalling to get to a point where you can actually do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the threat really doesn't matter, or the blocker.
The Rage Fire to the face seems kind of odd to me. I think you'd rather save all your removal spells to throw out troops.
Yeah.
He doesn't play anything at 4, so it's not like you're trying to escalate it to 4 to try to kill things off. Seems kind of aggressive to me, though.
Yeah, right there. I will keep it. To be fair, Rage Fire is not the best removal spell, but still.
Yeah, if you can 1-for-1 your opponent in a Karn deck, you'll take it for the most part. I mean, obviously, Escalated Rage Fire kills off a Gas Troll plus Wild Growth, stuff like that. So maybe that's what he was thinking with that, is if I can get it escalated, at least I can kill off things like Wild Growths. But...
So not Organ and Ceremony weaves there for Karn, which is unfortunate. So he's not able to deploy any of his hand.
As we see here again, the Skarn decks are very susceptible to just droughting out. They play, 20 resources, maybe 21?
Yeah, depending on how many resources you want to play. I think Karn plays 22 because he has the Gore Feast on the side.
Yeah.
Although he plays an extra resource on the side too.
Well, the extra resource is usually just to flip the Shards of Fate for the resource when he wants to be able to activate his... Well, when he brings in Gore Feast, he just switches into the extra charge off of the Wild Shard.
Yeah, as the hero power is fundamental for Gore Feast.
Yeah.
The good news for Karn is that Phoenix is not drawing resources to ram into the Death Rest to end the game. So he has a couple of turns.
Yeah, Phoenix is kind of just playing the stall game here. Trying to just kill off all those things 1-for-1 him a couple of times and then playing out a big fatty. But unfortunately he's not getting the resources to play the big fatties yet. So Karn has to discard here, unfortunately.
Well, like these
discarding
the Rage Fire or the Gore Feast, I think. There's also an argument for Nature's Reign.
Yeah, I was thinking Nature Reigns myself. Obviously we see in Phoenix's hand the Nature Reigns would be pretty good, but Karn's not playing that game. He's playing the let's get my things out there and try to kill him as fast as possible game right now.
I mean, I think there's an argument to keep Nature's Reign, even if you don't know he has his hand, because he has been stuck at 3 for some turns. So if he top decks something like
Surge Mechanism,
or potentially plays the Hex Engine, you can use that to slow them even further until he draws more resources.
again though, Phoenix being very aggressive with his burn there. I mean, obviously doesn't actually has a second one in hand for the gas troll here, but I don't know. It feels wrong to throw one of your better removal spells away against this deck. Does put him on a 2-turn clock if he can slam a Drew at some point, but
Yeah.
I
think that's probably what he's aiming for. The two attacks we threw seal the deal.
yeah, it's his best way to win the game at this point, but still.
He decides to use a Ruby Lance over the burn there.
I think again, just thinking of the burn can go to the face. The Ruby Lance can only kill a troop, so we want to kill a troop with it. But I'd rather just either throw the heat wave out there and then burn him at the face into turn, hoping to hit a Drew at some point, or just burn the gas troll. Because now he's gonna slam a Skarn plus a Tormentor, potentially flipping the Skarn, and having a heat wave, a wild growth to protect both of them too. So it's gonna be a pretty nasty turn for him.
I mean, if the Phoenix had burned the gas troll as soon as possible and have the resources open for Ruby Lance here, the chances of this Karn surviving were pretty low. Or even if the Karn survives, it's really bad for Karn, as he has to trade a lot of resources for it.
So now Phoenix can heat wave next turn, baiting out the wild growth and then burning it. It's a 2 for 2, but I think you're definitely want to take that for sure if you can get it. So drawing another Slaughter Grid there was like the worst possible draw for Phoenix. Throws the heat wave out there. Obviously going to see a wild growth to save his Skarn, and then he actually can't respond to. Wow, I thought the +2/+2 went on the stack. Okay.
Yep, that doesn't go to the stack. You cannot.
I totally thought you could respond to that. Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, it's on cast. It's not on result, which is really nice for you to play around heat wave, but.
Well, I'd probably do it on its prep phase here. Yeah, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Give him less chances of drawing a wild growth again or whatever. Obviously he could have had one in hand, but it's a better chance than. And he drew the wild growth, so really nice by Phoenix there to get rid of that Skarn before he couldn't deal with it again.
Yeah, it was also a second phase of Karn, which could end the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, and just something like a Crimson Clarity would just decimate Phoenix at this point. Like these seemingly mediocre actions just do so much work for the Skarn deck.
Yep. Also, Phoenix has been stuck on resources for quite a bit. He has run a lot of removal spells, but he also has bricked a lot on the resource department. Which
yeah,
is,
I mean, it's never a good sign when you're the control deck missing resource drops. Like if you could hit every resource drop as a control deck, you'd love to.
So I don't expect to see anything fancy this turn.
Yeah, just go old fashioned bash for 1.
Yeah.
He may throw the Rage Fire at his face, but I think you probably want to keep that back.
I mean, he may want to use the wild growth here to do the damage, but I think just probably the Rage Fire to the face. I'll see what happens.
Well, I would have probably held on to the wild growth here myself. If you draw a Crimson Clarity, you can then Gore Feast plus wild growth, which just kills him one shot.
Does it kills him? It's 3.
4B.
Yeah, that's 4. So
Pretty close. If he Rage Fires him, if you Rage Fired him there, it would then be 5.
And then 6
11.
is 11.
He'd be at 1.
No, not at 1, because this attack will have been at 4. Have been for 1, so he'll be at 4.
I guess it doesn't matter because he emptied his hand. If he draws a resource, he then Gore Feast the next turn to kill him anyway. So it doesn't really matter, but I mean,
He needs a resource to be able to kill him with Gore Fist. No, never mind. I think no, he attacks for 5 and for 6. Yeah. So if he is able to discard the card on his hand,
he drew the Crimson Clarity.
Yep. Gets Gore Fist, it's good enough. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved in this play, as any removal spell will just destroy the play.
Yeah, I mean it's very risky. But that's what this deck is. This deck's based all around high risk, high reward. You throw all your pump spells out there and you hope that they can't answer it.
Yep.
And if they can't answer it, they usually die. And if they can answer it, then you're usually dead.
Yep, basically that's it. You usually have to make them have it. Especially on game one, if people don't know what you're playing, you just make them have it because sometimes are, although they seem fine on the server, there's a mixture of shards and spells. They may just be not relevant at all for the matchup. If you have a bunch of 4-drops on Marble, it's really not relevant for the matchup because the Marble isn't going to do anything. Falconers are not going to do anything. You're probably going to die before that.
Yeah, and like when you see Polka, at this point you usually assume Gore Storm for the most part, or a Gore Feast variant. Where this is, I guess, sort of a Gore Feast variant because it does play Gore Feast in the sideboard, but is way more aggressive than your average Gore Feast deck. So they'll keep a hand, assuming that it's good against the deck that they expect to be playing, and then they're facing Skarn, and they're dead before they even know what hit them. So Phoenix after the 5th resource there, which makes them be able to Chaos Key away the 1/1, which is, I'm sure it hurts inside, but
yeah, he may not do it, but if he taps out, he just died. So
yeah, I mean,
so he's not dead as that guy can block.
but resource does, no, it doesn't kill him. It does a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, doesn't kill him. Does a lot of damage, but does not kill him.
Crushing blow, I believe.
I don't think it's good enough. He cannot play
Not
both.
good enough yet. No.
The thing is that Drew only blocks for a turn.
Yeah. Well, you could attack with Drew next turn and then Chaos Key away the 1/1,
Yep.
and then hope to reestablish his positioning here. Fortunately, Drew only needs to attack once because to get in some of the Harpy out, start attacking again. Though he probably wants to sit back with the Harpy and block because otherwise he dies.
There's also an argument to untap the Drew next turn, although it's really really risky, but it can potentially end the game. Not to block, but well, you could do it to block if you think a Gorf is coming, but I don't think he's doing that. But if he sees he's not dead next turn, I expect him to attack. By next turn I mean the turn after this one, as it will be lethal. Will force Karn to block.
It's got the 6 resource, so he may just bash in for 8 and then play the 5/6 out. It's not an awful lot there.
Yeah, but if he gets he plays the 5/6 and Karn gets a resource, I do think he dies. He will play everything in his hand, and Gorfis with crushing blow, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating. Only problem is that he still dies. If he untaps that, he still dies to a Rage Fire. Oh, I forgot about his charge power.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice one. That's the 2 little body you got there.
Yeah, 4/4, which is the average one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the perfect size to block too. It allows him to block and trade with the elemental.
Yep.
Fortunately, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have the resources for the elemental. So I think that's probably allows him to take over the game now with the slaughter gear. He can turn his Drew into a 5/5 or whatever. Turn his Chaos Key into a 5/5.
So, or just untap the Drew and attack with everything.
Yeah, if you want to be aggressive about it.
I mean, if he goes to above, if he goes above, steals a 3, I'll probably go for it. He needs double burn for that to win. If I'm at the burn range, I'll probably don't do it. Either way, if he attacks here, there's no way for Karn to win. Also, Karn cannot NTB his hand anymore, so yeah, he just
concedes there. I don't remember. Does Slaughter get the tap to exhaust rather to do that ability? I don't believe it does.
The slaughter gear no, but it actually exhausts the thing you are transforming.
Oh, it does. Okay.
So he will transform the druid at his tap. He had to untap it and then convert it to a slaughter gear, which is not what you want.
Well, I was thinking we'd be able to turn his key into a War Hulk and attack.
Yeah,
with
that could have happened, but not that turn, as he did not
yeah,
have
wouldn't have killed
resources.
him that turn. That's what I was thinking would kill him that turn. But
Yep.
What do you think of Caterpillar in the sideboard? In the reserves, rather. Sorry.
I mean, it's a one-off, and it can potentially steal games. You don't have many sideboard options with Skarn decks. So it's really all the pieces are connected and do specific stuff.
It works a lot like a combo deck, you know. Like you can't take out too much to add in for things because then you just completely dilute the strategy of your deck.
Yep. But the Caterpillar on the right circumstances can win the game, and even if it's not, it's still a 1-1 for one, which you can pump, so it's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean a flipped butterfly with Gorefeast is a lot of damage, as well as making so they can't attack for 2 turns, which is pretty nice.
No, it's only for one turn. This just makes
Doesn't
them.
stack.
I don't think it just makes them defensive for 1 turn, and if they get defensive is the same as they get defensive. It doesn't prevent attacking from
I
one.
kind of figured making them defensive and then for
Defense.
that turn, and then the next turn make them defensive. As well.
No, you
Doesn't it?
get double defensive. If it's the same thing as you give a blood aura to a life drain creature, it gets life drain, but it does only the first one triggers. You don't get double life gain.
Still think you should probably bring in the Ruby Lance here.
There's
at the
only
very
one
least.
more on the side.
Yeah, I mean, but it's probably better than Slaughter Gear in most circumstances. So probably taking out the Slaughter Gear or even the Chimes, because you're probably gonna look to get the Chimes in most of the Scar matchups.
Yeah, I do like the Ember Spike Witch, as I mentioned before.
Yeah. Well, I was saying if he's gonna just if he's gonna just have 1 card, I would love to add that 4th Ruby Lance. Just get that extra removal spell. This hand's actually pretty sweet for Phoenix. He could potentially get to that Chimes, and that could maybe win him the game. But this hand from Karn over here is pretty nice.
I think Phoenix Gun is way too slow.
Yeah, it's slow, but it's a nice hand overall. It's not good for the matchup though.
Yeah,
I was
it's
just
a
admiring the
good gun
hand as a
overall, but I
hand.
think you have to mulligan on the matchup, especially on the draw. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Karn has been as hand draws has not been great these games.
I actually really liked that first hand from Karn. I thought it was pretty solid.
It wasn't as solid because he only had basically had Tormentor, like 1 pump spell and a Gore Fist. And no ways to empty this gun, so he actually had a 1/1, 1 pump spell and Gore Fist.
And he kept a 0 resource hand.
Yeah, but look at what 0 resource can he get.
I know. I see it. I'm just saying. This is a Karn strategy that you've seen implemented before by Karn.
Yep. Keep
Didn't
a
he
0
do this
lander
in the
on the
last
play.
tournament that he ended up top 8ing?
Yeah, I think he may have done it.
I think he did. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he did. I think this is his next level strategy. He just miss resource drops to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, with 1 ruby, his gun is basically full activated. The natural range is super iffy. But if he,
I mean, looking at Phoenix's hand is actually really nice to get rid of that Hex Engine. So it's not that bad.
no, but the thing is that
So-
you cannot cast this right now if you only draw a ruby, so you cannot ditch
We
your
can't
hand for
cast
the.
anything right now.
Well, yeah, but if you get a ruby, you can potentially cast everything on your hand. But the nature's range there's no way of you discarding it until he gets another resource, wild resource, which he does get.
So yeah, Karn's just really hoping for that ruby.
Yep.
So Phoenix is drawing resources here, which is kind of what he wants to do. Especially with Karn having a slower hand here, he can just sit back, hope to just draw a bunch of resources, and then get to a point where he can actually take the game over with his Chimes or his Ash Harpy.
I think he doesn't want to draw more resources. He already had the 4 for the Hex Engine, so anything extra than that is not fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, he needs to get to 7 still, and now he can definitely get to 7, even with his opponent hitting his
Hex Engine.
Nature Rains.
Yeah.
Hitting the Hex Engine with Nature Rains. Obviously, you'd like to be drawing some removal spells as well. The Fulmination, that is so risky to play out.
I mean, you play the Hex Engine for sure.
Yeah.
I will hold the fulmination back. I will not give my hand cards, my opening cards, because you
Yeah,
know
when
his gun is full of gas.
yeah, you know Karn wouldn't keep a zero or resource hand without having just like basically the nuts. So if you give him more cards, you give him more chances to draw into a resource, which then probably just kills you. Obviously, it gives him chances to draw into cards like, Heat Wave and Burns and such that are actually pretty good for the matchup. But giving Karn free cards is not at all what you want to be doing,
Yeah.
which is why I probably decided that to begin with.
Yeah.
But
I
we'll
agree.
see.
There's some decks that you just don't want to play fulmination, and Skarny is definitely one of those.
So he could empty his hand here for the most part. He has to be just terrified of Heat Wave. He could play Clarity plus Ragefire, holding up a burn to throw his face to save his Skarn. Which he's probably going to do.
Yep. He is going to play the Clarity for sure, so he is able to play the Ragefire. The thing is that if he wants to flip the Skarn, he has to use Ragefire plus burn.
No, the Clarity counts. So he Ragefires here for 2. Plays Skarn, it flips, and then he has a burn to throw it at his face to keep it alive. Only problem with that play is that if...
It still dies to Ruby-Lance.
Yeah. Also, if his opponent has multiple removal spells, he could throw it at him here.
So yeah.
So you probably should throw it at him there
On
before
the
it flips.
on the end phase, no, or before the end phase, yeah.
No, just throw it at his turn, because if he throws it at the end phase there, he could get +2/+2. It actually would... No, it'd still die. It's 5/5.
Yeah, it's 5/5. That's the thing. If he has a wall growth, it's fine for you. You probably want to do it on the second main phase before that guy transforms. Although the transformations will occur at the end of the end phase, not at the start of the end phase. So you should be able to burn it on the end phase before it transforms.
So Phoenix was asking why I flipped there. Clearly didn't know that it flips it regardless. It doesn't have to be in... What's cool about Hex as opposed to other trading card games is that it doesn't have to be in play to recognize that you played 2 actions that turn.
Yeah.
It just keeps track of it by itself. It knows you did it, and then it flips.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on play to cast 2 actions. If you cast 2 actions, it doesn't have to be this cannon play well when you cast 2 actions.
So you can go ahead and Ruby Lance here for sure. He almost has to.
I mean, depending on how big the elemental is, you can potentially go for the Ash Harpy. I mean, it's risky, but I could see the Ash Harpy play here.
I mean, if he has Burn plus Ragefire plus Crushing Blow, which I mean, I would always assume he has, because why would he keep a 0 resource hand if he doesn't have just absolutely crazy cards in his hand? It seems a little risky to me, but we'll see if it pays off for him here.
So I do think you have to burn the Ash Harpy here with the Ragefire.
Oh, for sure.
She just
Well,
kills
it's just dead in 2
so fast, yeah. I mean, there's a chance he can raise, especially with the Crushing Blow.
So now I can Ragefire the face, attack with a 4/4, give it Crushing Blow, making it into an 8/8, and then Burn to the face is 10 damage. That's what, 14 damage this turn?
I mean, if he plays everything is 2/6 plus.
Oh yeah, she
2.
can't cancel everything. Anyway, he doesn't.
Yeah, he can only cast two of them, but still it's 4, 6, 8. It's 10 damage. Yeah. He can do 10 damage to the face. He decides to, if he doesn't block this turn, can deal a maximum of 10 damage.
So that being the case, yeah, he has to Ragefire the Ash Harpy here. Potentially race in the long run, but it's a little risky. You don't really want to give him like if he has another Ash Harpy, it's what, 12 damage.
Or he has more removal spells. Can completely mess up your plan.
Yeah, so you have to throw it there. It's too risky to not do it. So do you crushing blow here, or do you just save it,
Mm,
defending against like a heat wave or something? Because the only thing that kills the Skarn at this point would be the Ruby land switch. Um, he doesn't have the greatest chance of having.
he blocks. He blocks a crushing blow for sure to make the third transformation. And if he doesn't block, I probably still do it just to get the third transformation that doesn't die to heat wave.
Oh, that's true. I forgot the third treasure. So 3/3. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still dies to all the stuff, but it doesn't die to burns or heat waves.
Yeah, I mean, like you're trying to play around him not having like the best thing for you, or the worst things for you, which would be, getting heat waved or burned or whatever.
Yeah, yet again, you with the Skanda you make them have it.
Yeah.
So no
So you
hesitation.
finally see a third transform Scar, and then you see you get just eaten by a Ruby Lance.
Yeah, usually the
Um,
third transformation Scar doesn't see play as the second one is usually good enough to end the game.
Yeah, almost always good enough. Like, this deck works a lot like it needs to do basically like what would be 10 damage is usually about 20 for this deck with just all the pump spells and stuff. Like, whenever you see a field of this deck, it's always so underwhelming, and then you just die out of nowhere.
This deck is also one of the decks that is just going to get better and better as more sets are released, and we get better pump spells and better creatures to go with the Scar.
Yeah, once we can get some like zero cost or a bunch of more one cost pump spells, it's gonna be just disgusting with the Scar.
So what do you think about the playing the fulmination there?
Um, it's risky for sure, but it does keep things like, as you can see in his hand there, he's got the tormentors, just keep them from really being flipped very often. I guess
Not
he
really.
empties his hand pretty well.
Yeah.
He empties his hand too well.
I mean,
Against mono ruby, you don't really not as concerned, but with Skarm where everything costs 1 and 2.
yeah, that's the thing. Phoenix can be mana constrained, well, shard constrained on with the drawing 2 cards per turn. Certain resources may not be letting able to cast 2 creatures per turn, but Karn is going to be able to play whatever 2 spells he has, especially with 4 resources.
Yeah, now you got the fourth. You can cast everything in his deck. Empty his hand every turn.
Yeah. Unless he draws something like 2 Gorfith or something like that, which is pretty unlikely.
So you can double burn his opponent end of turn to make him go into 3, and then he's got 2 4/4s in play, and can draw basically anything that would just be disgusting for his opponent.
I mean,
And Phoenix is drawing nothing but resources every turn here.
yeah.
Drew a burn, which was nice.
Yeah, burn actually does nothing.
We can use it to kill one of the things now. Actually, he kills both things now.
No, he actually only kills. He can try to target both of them, but as Phoenix can empty his hand, he can just burn the troop on response and attack for 8 next turn,
Yeah.
or just burn to the face also works.
Well, fortunately, I think the second one doesn't technically target until it hits the graveyard, so he could target the same one twice now.
Yeah, the second one has also doesn't target after the first one resolve, which is not great.
Yeah, so now I got to kill off that one.
Yeah,
I think it might be a bug that happens. I'm not actually sure.
yeah, I think
That seems kind of wrong, because
yeah.
when it's on a stack, it should be targeting.
Yep.
But so what should have been a giant blowout ended up being just a fine play.
I mean, Phoenix is still in a lot of trouble. He really needs to top like Heatwave here to be in the game.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, even that though, like, there's so many top decks for Karn that now he's gaining 2 chances to draw into that are just so good for him.
Yeah, any
yeah,
Rage Fire is just game at this point as the deal 6.
Yeah, and Heat Wave, he needed Heat Wave basically the entire game, and he's got so flooded here, and getting another resource,
Yeah.
just adding onto it.
Let's see the last
And
card.
another resource is adding onto it.
So if he
The
did
best thing he can do is play the Fulmination, hoping that his opponent can't play all 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, but still, it's really, really unlikely. And the chance of him top decking a Rage Fire with 3 draws are quite high, as we know he plays 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, Ragefire, Wild Growth, Burn, all those things are just
Yeah, and on both of those cards shuffle back into the deck.
yeah.
So he has at least 8 top decks that actually just kill him. And there are others on the Gorfish also kill him, so we go up to 10. And probably some other stuff kills him too, so...
I mean, at the best it did would give him another turn, and then he could potentially draw a Burn to the Ground, which would then kill Karn with the amount of resources he had. That's really the only chance he had, was to just put up the second one and hope. Do like a little Hail Mary type pass there. But
Yeah,
obviously wouldn't have been enough anyway.
yeah, the chances were really, really low. If you are in a super competitive tournament setting, you probably go for it and try to sneak a win. But the chances are so low that I see a surrender there being completely fine. As we said, there's so many cards that just end the game for him. He has to avoid like at least a third of the deck for 3 draws, which is really, really, really low chance. So the most interesting thing is that he decided to play a Fulmination, and if he didn't play the Fulmination, he would have been flooded. But a lot, even further than this. He wouldn't give his opponent resources, but it probably wouldn't have mattered with the amount of flood he played. So basically, the top part of Phoenix deck was just too many resources to be a competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, if he had a heat wave at most parts of that game, it would have been fine, but couldn't get one.
Yeah, he can't get in the Tormentos at the end, which without any bounce spells was really, really nice for him.
Yeah, for sure. Phoenix just drew no ways to really end the game. He just kept drawing into more and more resources, which is it's unfortunate, but it does happen. RNG will get you.
Yeah, it's part of the game. You really can't do much about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything for this game. So thanks guys for watching, and see you guys on the next one.
See you, I guess.